Lawyers in Cameroon stage a countrywide strike in protest against what they call police brutality on them in the discharge of their duty. Cameroon marks World Day of Persons with Disabilities with a call for disabled persons not to consider their disability an inability. Cameroon's veteran sociologist Professor Taboué Aletum begins his journey to eternity as his colleagues and students pay him their last respects after the coffin at the Yaoundé Central Hospital mortuary. Those are our lead stories. Hello and thanks for joining us on the 7:30 News. I am Ben Menopufong.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
Good evening once again. We open with this standoff between lawyers in Cameroon and the police corps of the country. It's 4 days today since the lawyers of the country have been on strike protesting against what they say is police brutality on them. It is an imbroglio that has split the lawyers in two camps, those who are in support of the strike action and those against it, each of them claiming to be acting in good stead. Ebenezer Kanga was at the courts in Yaoundé today and now reports on the arguments that each camp is trading.
No black robe could be seen on the corridors of the Mfunde High Court in Yaoundé this Thursday, 3rd of December 2020. Even the lawyer's room, which is often very busy, is locked. In effect, the men and women in black robes are on the 4th day of a strike action called by the Cameroon Bar Council from the 30th of November to the 4th of December 2020.
You know of the events that took place in Douala when the courtroom was invaded by armed uniformed people and lawyers were beaten up. Lawyers who are supposed to carry out their activities independently and in a liberal manner are seen to be pushed here and there. That is why we said we have to tell the world that all is not going well. But the strike is not meant to spoil, it is meant to fix.
But a group of lawyers have dissociated itself from the strike action. In a correspondence addressed to the president of the Bar Council, the group of lawyers say they will continue carrying out their professional activities. Whatever the case, the strike action has serious effects on the smooth functioning of the justice system.
The assistance of counsel is mandatory. And once the counsel is not there, the matter has to be adjourned. And if this is done several times, that tantamounts to delay. And justice delayed is justice denied.
For now, the matter is not yet over. The Bar Council is still spitting fire on another strike action, which this time will be indefinite.
And as the imbroglio goes on, the interdependence between lawyers, judges, prosecutors and the executive is being described as an imperative to avoid the eroding of the rule of law in Cameroon. It is the position held by Professor Mathias Orik Owonangini as he reacted on the ongoing nationwide strike by lawyers. As the political scientist says, despite the separation of powers, the different arms of the judiciary and the executive still need to work hand in hand. He told our reporter Joyce Kimbi Fawaju how he thinks the ongoing standoff between the lawyers and the police can be dealt with.
The interdependence between the state, the judges, the prosecutors, the lawyers is very important for the due process of law we need a strong collaboration between these stakeholders. And we need also that the process of law and justice should not be seized and captured by political interests. I think what is important is the spirit of dialogue between the stakeholders. The state should be able to listen at what the lawyers are really asking, what are the claims. But at the same time, the lawyers should be aware of the fact that they don't need to be politically instrumentalized by political parties.
On to other news now. Today is being marked the world over as the 28th edition of the International Day for Persons Living with Disability. Here in Cameroon, the nation has been told to be considerate towards persons with disabilities which tend to be neglected by the society. Minister Pauline Irene of Social Affairs made the call in Yaoundé today as she closed activities marking the 28th edition of the International Day for Persons Living with Disability. Karin Sandra Iyike has the main thrust of the minister's message to Cameroonians.
Disability is not inability, although not all disabilities are easily visible to the eye. This 29th edition of the International Day for Persons with Disabilities is an opportunity for the Ministry of Social Affairs and the United Nations Organization to raise awareness on all and sundries to the plight of this category of persons.
The disabilities or the deficiencies that we cannot see, that we cannot perceive with the eye, we are neglected, whereas they exist and they need equal attention. In perspective, we have a big project for persons living with disabilities, which is the computerization of the National Invalidity Card.
Visible or not, the different challenges they face remains the same.
There are still a lot of things we need. There are some structures which are not yet open to us. We need adequate roads adapted to our handicap.
Social Affairs Minister Pauline Irene has urged Cameroonians to join government efforts put in place to render these persons more useful to their families and nation.
And persons living with disabilities in the north region of Cameroon have received financial and moral support to promote their empowerment and self-dependence. This was during the commemoration of the International Day of Persons with Disabilities in Garoua with the collaboration of the Christopher Blinden Mission, the CBM. Vanessa Wotnangs-Namung has details from CRTV North.
Begging is practiced by many persons with disabilities in the north, as well as other less privileged groups who make up about 4.7% of the population. Difficulties accessing healthcare services, lack of professional training, and decent jobs are among a host of other challenges encountered by persons with disabilities in the north, which government and other actors in development try to address.
We are looking at developing economic opportunities for persons with disabilities so that they can be more entrepreneurial. At the third level, we are looking at the institutions that create vocational training and employment opportunities so that they become more inclusive. Their approach should be such that they also welcome and train persons with disabilities.
The celebration of the International Day of Persons Living with Disabilities in Garoua was an occasion to give them financial support and launch a project to improve their access to economic opportunities and jobs. Laurent Mimbang, who represented the governor of the North region, stressed on the need for all to avoid stigmatizing persons living with disabilities. The Archbishop of Garoua, His Grace Foster Sanjodo, was among those present at the event.
The Parliamentary Network for Sustainable Management of the Forest Ecosystems in Central Africa is arguing in favor of land reforms that recognize the specificities of indigenous people and protect their rights. The lawmakers raised the issue in Yaoundé today as they exchanged views and opinions with civil society actors on new legislation that clarifies land access and guarantees land tenure security in the country. Esther Kima now puts the arguments of the legislators in perspective.
With land inextricably linked to other underground resources and its increasing demand for investments, it is crucial that a land policy document be designed. The lawmakers, led by Senator Jean-Marie Mama, are conscious of the country's demographic growth and the rise in land conflicts, so they advocate for a review of large-scale land lease.
Land has to be managed in Cameroon in a more sustainable manner that will engage in food sufficiency, that will involve gender equality, and that will give access to the local communities to gain land for pastoral and agricultural activities.
Not only should indigenous peoples be meaningfully involved in land deals, the expropriation compensation and retrocession system should be improved by the states pressed in Parliament. Granting property rights to each village and securing land tenure entitlements for investors are also vital for Cameroon's development strategy.
The government of Cameroon and the United Nations Development Programme, the UNDP, have partnered to boost local council development in the country. This is the outcome of a convention signed by the Minister of Economy and of Decentralization on behalf of Cameroon and the UNDP representative Jean-Louis Talon. Muslim Davis has the details of that act.
Ensuring that the population in the far northern war zones enjoy economic stability is a priority for Cameroon government and its foreign partners. France, Great Britain and Germany are fully involved.
We're putting money into this project because we believe it'll make a big difference. It will change people's lives. It will encourage them, give them hope, give them an economy.
With the socio-economic activities hampered by the armed conflict, civilian and military cooperation is inevitable.
40 million euro we have invested in the Lake Chad Fund. We are convinced that it's a regional question and we need a regional solution.
Help to the population is channeled through the United Nations Development Programme.
Amshide, Kolofata, Mora, Limani are benefiting from this support. How is it taking place? Through the reconstruction of some of the facilities for the administration, custom, security, local administration, but also through reconstruction of activities from the population.
With a committed joint effort, the situation is gradually becoming stable.
We now continue in this newscast to say the second phase of the agreement in providing stabilization facilities around the Lake Chad Basin has been signed between France, Great Britain and the United Nations Development Programme under the supervision of the Minister of Economy, Alamin Ousmane May. The ceremony held at the office of the British High Commissioner to Cameroon, Rowan James Laxton, and a representative of the French ambassador to Cameroon, who was representing the various countries. Muslim Davis once again has the details.
Accelerating and fine-tuning the decentralization process in Cameroon is a major priority in the government's new National Development Strategy plan.
What we are trying to put in place is that we want to have a project that is articulated with the National Strategy of Development so that what is done in the field of decentralization is in accordance with that strategy.
The project covers 374 councils and urban communities with focus on 20 sample councils, as well as the special status of the Northwest and Southwest regions.
The focus of this project, it's not so much on the administrative decentralization, it's more on the social and economic development, decentralized social and economic development.
This provides also an occasion to mobilize sectoral administrations, the private sector, civil society organizations and technical partners, amongst others.
Decentralization experts have opened reflections on the fifth working document that is expected to ease the implementation of the National Decentralization Code in Cameroon. The reflections that are taking place in Bankomo on the outskirts of Yaoundé will culminate in the validation of the draft that will serve as an enabling document for the ongoing decentralization process. Prince Will Mukwele Aduma is just back from Bankomo.
Campaigning to run the regional councils, a means to an end only. Ensuring transparency and accountability in decentralized structures is the end in itself in this last phase of decentralization. An argument for the 3-day workshop at Bankomo, seeking to adopt the Code of Decentralization for better performance.
The ministerial order will treat the personalities that will be placed at the level of regions and the level councils.
Organized by the Interministerial Committee of Finance, Decentralization, the Economy and Related Structures, the workshop, with accountants and treasury officials as participants, is examining stumbling blocks to the free management of resources.
We have come up with new budgetary nomenclature and a new accounting chart that will permit to enhance transparency in the management of public funds.
The validation of a proposed document is expected to ease execution within local collectivities.
Custom officials and members of the Parliamentary Network for the Diaspora, Decentralized Entities and Cross-Border Cooperation have agreed to work together in order to promote the local economic activities of Cameroonians living in the diaspora. This was one of the resolutions arrived at the end of a consultative meeting between both parties in the nation's capital today. Rita Makang has the key resolutions of today's talks.
Cameroonians in the diaspora have often been hinged by customs bottlenecks when sending goods back home, either for economic activities or for humanitarian purpose. Difficulties that have been channeled to members of the Parliamentary Network on the Diaspora, Rep Code, and tabled to customs officials.
We think that they are not very well schooled on our procedures and on the numerous facilities that government has put in place to facilitate not only their coming back, but also operating businesses in Cameroon. And I think we have decided to work a lot on that. We've also proposed embassies out of the country. There should be customs advisors assigned to these embassies.
The Directorate of Customs will open a hotline where Cameroonians out of the country can look into the facilities offered by the Director General of Customs.
The customs boss also seized the opportunity to call on local economic operators to vantage the exportation of basic commodities to boost the economy.
We also think that they should also sell our goods out of the country.
The consultation meeting is in line with Rep Code's activities geared towards reconciling the state with her diaspora.
More and more young Cameroonians are now hitting the charts as award-winning writers and authors, grabbing prizes even at international competitions. The most recent of them, Jaili Amadou Amal, winner of the Goncourt Literary Prize for high school students with her book Les Impatients, a prize that, as Beatrice Ngum says, has come to confirm that budding writers in the country can go places if and only if the environment is made conducive enough. Beatrice?
Jalil Amadou Amal's novel Les Impatients won France's most prestigious literary honor, the Goncourt Prize for colleges. Over the last 2 decades, Cameroon has been in the spotlight of awards. Calix Beyala and Eleanor Maino have backed home 2 big prizes, an exploit for Cameroon as other prizes have also been grabbed by Hamlet Boom and Imbolo Mboa. Prove that fatherland yesterday and today has skillful writers, but the worry is how to groom future ones.
Competition to help children write like short stories, short articles. They may end up liking to write and to produce fictions.
Some of the writers say a lot is not working in the sector.
Do you have publishers in this country? Not really. You have printers. more than publishers.
For these great writers, with practical solutions, a new generation of authors can be groomed.
If we're able to transform our wood here in Cameroon, believe me, paper is going to be very, very cheap. And the books will be sold at a cheaper rate.
Why can we import the machinery? This will give jobs to people and then put down a book industry.
For more Imbolomboas, Calix Beyala to sprout out, the problems of tax, editing houses, cost of production, and authors' rights have to be resolved.
You're watching the 7:30 news on the Cameroon Radio Television, the CRTV. We are beaming live from Yaoundé. A new television channel has joined the media landscape in Cameroon. The audiovisual outfit, Christian School TV Africa, is a thematic station devoted to the teaching and learning process for pupils and students. As Joyce Tata reports, the new station that has been on trial broadcast since March this year is coming as a palliative to the COVID-19 pandemic that restricts the number of students per class. Joyce?
The little girl's smile which pulls your attention towards School TV Africa, a response strategy to the negative effects of the COVID-19 pandemic to ensure education gets to every youth, irrespective of social backgrounds. The TV channel so far records about 2,500 hours of classes on satellite, streamed in all 10 regions of Cameroon and West Africa. Paul Erikinge's vision is to accompany learners prepare for exams, help students to sit for national and international competitive entrance examinations while facilitating e-learning.
Different programs are sciences, history, geography, French, English, all courses in program in Cameroon. Our teachers are teachers from École Normale Supérieure in our country.
School TV Africa, access to knowledge made easier.
Now on to this press release from the National Communication Council, and it reads, the President of the National Communication Council informs public opinion that there are reliable reports that television channels are spreading seditious information through certain television broadcasts in the Mungo division in the littoral region. These illegal television channels, which incite hatred among the population, also broadcast slogans of dead towns in the northwest and southwest regions. Pursuant to the decree of the 23rd of January 2012 on the reorganization of the National Communication Council, the Council ensures the respect of good social order through the media. And in view of the foregoing, the President of the National Communication Council asks television broadcasters throughout the national territory and specifically those of the Mungo division to put an immediate end to the broadcasting of all programs and information of a seditious nature likely to undermine social peace and the smooth running of the regional elections of the 6th December 2020. Violation of this measure are liable to sanctions by the National Communication Council in accordance with the legislative and regulatory provisions in force. And it has been signed. Peter Isoka, the President of the National Communication Council. One of the pioneer anthropologists in Cameroon, Professor Emeritus Paul Nkui, is celebrating over 4 decades of professorship. His former students and colleagues of the University of Yaoundé brains behind the celebrations have published a book in his honor highlighting his landmark achievements as professor in anthropology. The 80-year-old varsity veteran is, by dint of his numerous publications, a monument of anthropology in universities in Cameroon and abroad. Beatrice Losamba captured the highlights of today's professional tributes.
Prominent on the stage of university studies, Professor Paul Nkui is referred to as father of anthropology in the country, having contributed in laying a foundation stone for studies in the field. His remarkable achievements are told in this book, which contains articles on the impact he made during over 4 decades as professor.
It's a huge spillover of the foundation that he laid, and his former students think that it is worthwhile acknowledging him while he is alive.
Professor Emeritus Paul Nkwi's anthropology journey began here at the University of Yaoundé 1, where he spent over 30 years after defending his PhD in Switzerland. The anthropologist, who marks 44 years as professor today, is proud of his legacy.
I am proud that the students are formed. They guarantee the future.
Now a member of the Constitutional Council, the 80-year-old Professor Emeritus still authors anthropology-related.
We stay with tributes, but this time a posthumous academic honors organized by the University of Yaoundé 1 in honor of Professor Michael Taboué, who died on the 17th of September 2020. The 80-year-old lecturer served as the founding head of the Department of Political Science of the Yaoundé 1 of the University of Yaoundé 2 before his death. Ewane Epole was at the academic honors event on the SWA campus and now reports.
The academic tribute organized by the University of Yaoundé 2 SWA in honor of Professor Emeritus Michael Aletum Taboué, where before his death served as founding head of the Department of Political Science, was a moment for the entire university system in the country to acknowledge his works. According to various speakers, Professor Michael Aletum Taboué was a talented lecturer and good manager whose contribution to the university community will forever remain indelible. Born in 1939, Professor Michael Aletum Taboué dies at the age of 81, leaving behind the university community and family to mourn him. He will be buried on December 10, 2020 at the St. Joseph Catholic Cathedral in Big Mankan, Bamenda.
Former separatist fighters under reformation at the DDR Center in Boya have concluded a 4-month football tournament whose objective was to inculcate in them the spirit of tolerance and social cohesion. The ex-combatants, who come from diverse origins and localities of the Southwest region, have been expressing gratitude to the officials of the center and the head of state for having given them the opportunity to come back into mainstream social life. From Boya, Guy Roger Nana tells us more.
Love and peace in a land of promise, land of glory. Those words stand out in the national anthem of the Republic of Cameroon and are sung here by returnees of the DDR Center in Boya. These young people shared laughs and smiles on the football pitch. The Cameroon DDR Football Tournament for Peace has been a moment of fun and reintegration.
Those competing were not just ex-combatants. We had gendarmes who had once been enemies to us. We played together with them. There is one thing I must appreciate the head of state for. At least our lives are safe. We have changed, as you can see. If I should show you my photo while I was in Lebialam, here an Amber boy, and my photo now, you will know that there is really that transformation.
All these making a fun day
to inculcate in the returnees a sense of fraternity, of love, tolerance, peaceful coexistence, and of course to prepare them for their reinsertion into society.
CNDDR for Peace FC received their trophy from the hands of the Inspector General at the Southwest Governor's Office after their 2-1 victory over Bostal Institute for Peace FC.
And that's it for the 7:30 news for today and for the week. Let's do it all over again on Monday. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing.
CRTV News, ici, toute l'info.